What's up, everybody? Today I'm doing my annual dark beer for the fall. Often I do a foreign extra stout is one I like, or a robust porter. Those are two of my go-tos. I've also been doing a tropical stout in the last few years, but today I'm doing an Imperial stout. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and the one I'm doing is the Black is Beautiful, which you have probably all heard about. If not, we can talk about that in a little bit. You may have made your own. You may have actually had a commercial brewery making their version. So what you can do is get the recipe. Just Google Black is Beautiful beer and you'll find this page. The brewery that is behind it is Weathered Souls, and the brewer there is Marcus. He created this recipe. They do a lot of different stouts there, but he created a new recipe for everyone to try, and the suggestion is that you commercial breweries donate some of the profits to causes to help social and racial justice issues, which are a big topic of 2020. I like the idea of the initiative. I also have tried a couple of homebrewed versions. I wonder if I've had a commercial version. Not sure off the top of my head, but I've had a couple good homebrewed ones. Actually, I did a video tasting on that. So for this fall, I thought, well, that'll be a nice idea for myself, for my big dark beer. So I took the recipe that is on the site. I also looked at Chip's Chop and Brew recipes that were tailored by Michael Dawson, and then I just kind of found my own version and compiled my own version. What I'm going to do for yeast is Imperial has hooked us up with the darkness, so it is known to be a good stout yeast. I'm going to make, what I'm doing right now is making a yeast starter. I'm going to make a slightly bigger starter than usual for myself. I hope it will be enough with all of the yeast that comes in the Imperial yeast to begin with, and then making like 1.5 liter starter. Hopefully it will be enough. This is going to be my grain bill that I am going to go with. 10 pounds of two-row, 8 ounce chocolate rye, 1 pound black patent, 1 pound double roasted crystal. For that they said any sort of crystal or caramel 120L, and I had this available. 2 pounds flaked oats, 1 pound chocolate, 1 pound flaked barley, 8 ounce of roast. I'm going to bitter with 1 ounce of, ooh, we got some sirens, Chinook. I might do a longer than 60-minute boil. Marcus said that he does 3-hour boils sometimes, or longer. Certainly I'm not going to do that, but I might boil for half hour before adding the bittering hops. And then, as you saw, there's some cascade amounts that go in at, I think, 20 minutes and 10 minutes. I think they say 2 ounces at each. I'll see if I want to do that, or 1 ounce or 1.5. I think at that point it's probably not extremely important, but I'll definitely throw some in. So basically, I hope to get this starter going so it can have about 24 hours at least. It's about 11 a.m. on a Friday. I hope to brew this tomorrow, and maybe by somewhere around this time tomorrow I might be pitching the yeast. I might collect the wort tonight, hold it overnight, and boil it in the morning. But let's get her going. Alright, I've got, what do I got? 17 pounds of grain and 22 quarts of water, and I was just taking the temperature after stirring for a few minutes, and it's 154. If it would have been a degree or two lower, I would have been fine with that, because with all these highly kiln malts you worry about fermentability, so it doesn't need to be a high mash. I think they actually say to mash at 154. So what I'll do, what I often do, is put a blanket or something like that over the cooler and insulate it and make it even more heat temperature. It preserves it, but I think I'll just shut the lid and let it go, and if it drops a couple degrees and, you know, the first 15-30 minutes, that's fine. But yeah, this is a pretty big amount, but I could fit more in here, and I think the most I've had in here is 20 pounds, and even when I did that I could actually have done more. So Be real curious to see what the OG comes in, but we're gonna seal this up and let it convert. So I am not sure why, but I am having trouble lautering. It is beyond my simple comprehension. I have 3 pounds of flaked material, so flaked oats, flaked barley, but 14 additional pounds of barley with husk, and that really shouldn't be any kind of a problem. It really is a beautiful grain bed. It's 17.5 bricks, but it is just... I had a couple of rice hulls remaining from some previous thing, and I actually stirred them in, but it's just this anemic little stream. I could make a joke about an old guy in the prostate, but I don't get it. I mean, I guess if it actually does eventually all come out, I mean, I guess it's okay, but I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it has anything to do with the sheer amount of density. I didn't have this problem with Storm in a Teacup, which was 20 pounds of all malted barley, so all husks. I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'll keep an eye on it. Might just take a while. I've been blowing into the tube to kind of clear out the filter space in my stainless steel tube in the mash tun, but it's just being kind of a dog, so hopefully we'll get this word out of here one way or another. Alright, so there is 2 cups of sugar, which is about a pound. I just wanted to show it because well, I didn't want to forget it myself, so I brought it out here, but I've been boiling for a half hour just to reduce the volume a little bit and to give it a little extra boil time, but now we're gonna add the bittering hops. Voila. And then I did decide to get 2 ounces each, well, 2 ounces of Cascade for the 20-minute edition and then 2 ounces for 10. So that will give it a tiny bit more bitterness, and really this is only 1 ounce of 10% alpha acid, so it's not even all that much for this much beer, so that's fine. I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be a ridiculously hoppy beer, but maybe we'll have a little bit of flavor and bitterness and a whole lot of malt character. Alright, so 20 minutes remain in the boil. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of Cascade, and also I see I need to get that in there, so I'm gonna do that as well. Probably won't film it because I'm gonna use 2 hands and get it stirring and then pour it in there, but I'm sure you guys have done that before, but I don't want to forget it. Alright guys, we got a pretty good report so far. There's my 5-gallon marker, so just under, but I'm just gonna pitch this whole starter, and so that will, I don't know, that's just kind of how I do it. That'll bring it up to the 5-gallon mark. 1086 is what I am calling it, and so what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and, what the heck, let's just do it. Enough of my talking about it. Let's just get pitching it. It's just been on the stir plate. Make sure we got it all swirled up. Whew, it's a lot of yeasty goodness. I'm gonna hook a blow-off tube up to this thing. We'll see if it has so much sugar, if it might possibly need that. The room that it can be in is probably in like the mid 60s, so hopefully that will be just about right. The other thing I'm going to do is hit it with some Puro 2. I have not been doing that all summer. I've been doing the Kvikes, and you just don't need to, but with this son of a gun, definitely going to. So yeah, hopefully this darkness yeast will be sufficient. Otherwise, I can always pitch some additional yeast if need be, but I'll see if it gets, hopefully be fermenting before too long. It's kind of our early, it's like 11:15 right now. I did the mash last night and then finished it up today, so I haven't made a beer this big for a while, so it'll be fun to see how it goes. So it's 1 o'clock. I pitched that yeast at, I forget, I think it's on the video, like 11:15. And I was down here to look at something else, actually, and I already noticed a couple of bubbles. So those bubbles don't get there by themselves. So, not much, I mean, this is just residual foam, but it is already going. So I bet within another hour or two, it'll even be going stronger. So that's really nice to have a real fast start, because we got a lot of work to ferment. So we are about 19 hours after pitching. It was fermenting last night, and it's definitely going well now, but I might try to add, this room is only like 64 or 65, but it's at about 72 or so. So I might see if I got any frozen stuff in the freezer and put a t-shirt over and stick some frozen ice things next to it, see if I can cool it down a little bit. So it is right at about 10:20. Don't know if you can see it all that well, but you can take my word for it. I took a reading on about day 4, and it was already down to 10:20, 10:21, and I tasted it, and this is about day 9 right now, so still pretty young, but I mean, I think it's basically, you know, done fermenting. And what I thought was that it was a little bit drier and roastier and more bitter than I might like. So I'm gonna give it another try here. And you know, I just thought of something. I forgot of how many hops went into this. Not necessarily the bittering, but then there was 2 ounces at 20 minutes and 2 ounces at 10. All that cascade. So I think I am also getting some of this hop flavor and bitterness, but I still feel like I would just like it to be dialed back a little bit. It's kind of, it could be, I think, considered slightly fatiguing. It's maybe like too much roast, too much chocolate, black patent, too much of all of that. It's a little acrid. It's almost like a really burnt coffee thing. It's not terrible, and if I was willing to let it sit around for a long period of time or some period of time, it might come out to be okay. But what I came up with is an idea to use some lactose. So this is a full pound. I certainly am not going to do that. My plan is to use 8 ounces. I think that will give a barely detectable, but maybe slightly perceptible change in flavor that honestly I will be the only one that will know about, since I have had it twice now without the lactose. I certainly don't want to do the full pound. So my plan is to weigh out 8 ounces, boil up a pint or maybe just over of water, get that all dissolved, and then I'm going to keg it off. Alright everybody, here we are tasting Black is Beautiful. Now I had an idea, I know the brewer at, one of the owners at Invictus, and they're a local brewery who released a Black is Beautiful in cans, and I contacted him and said, hey, I just made one of these, we should get together and taste them. And he said, great idea, let's do it. But then now we're in a raging COVID time, there's additional lockdown steps, there's no tap rooms open for going in and hanging out, and so that just kind of got put to the side. It may yet happen, and if it does, I guess I could shoot a little additional video and post that up separately, but I wanted to get Chip on this, because he has made his Black is Beautiful, he's tasted other people's versions. We're going to taste mine. It has been in the keg for 1.5 months. It went from 1086 to 1020, which I was quite pleased with that final gravity. The Imperial Darkness did a totally adequate job of fermenting that beast. I haven't made a beer this big myself for some time. The last time we made that Storm in a Teacup barley wine as a collaborative effort, and that was bigger than this. But I don't know. I don't make the 1086 beers too often. But we are at it. We're on it. What do you think of this monstrous beer?
Can I just say I appreciate you, like, sophisticating it up and calling three friends, like, drinking and brewing a collaborative effort brew.
Well, it was.
It's the Dialogue Channel, the Chop and Brew collaborative matchmaker brew, whatever. No, I like this. We were talking before we started rolling. You get just like huge, all the dark aromas, dark bread, chocolate, coffee, almost this kind of molassesy thing, but it doesn't quite go there. But the hops, man, those Chinook and Cascade are just like large and in charge for a beer this dark. Like, you are not missing the pininess, the resininess, some of that. I mean, I don't really think you get like the citrusy fruits, but I think the pine, and this was the same in mine. It's like it's almost like we were saying, it's kind of like a black IPA that's not afraid to show that roasty side instead of just being that dark color. And then that's when you were like, oh yeah, it's like an Imperial Stout. I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly.
Well,
that's
there's some Imperial Stouts. I just thought of it. Once upon a time, and you will remember, Surly Darkness was pretty hoppy. I mean, It was, I think, this is pretty nerdy, but I think 2009, Surly Darkness was bang on. Maybe one of the best ones that I ever had. That thing was hoppy and big and roasty and delicious. And so there is
that's actually a really good comparison.
That's a possibility. Like some people do hoppy barley wines. Some people do sweeter barley wines. So I think you can vary it. So yes, I think I also get like, I don't know, like raisins and I mean, it's coffee, it's bitter chocolate, it's really pretty roasty, and I suppose we can segue into that. I tasted this beer on day 4, and it was already down to 1021 or 1022 or something, so it was almost already totally done fermenting after 4 days, which is pretty impressive. But I didn't really like it, and I was kind of worried. I thought it's too bitter, too acrid, too roasty, too dry. I don't like it. What's that about?
Imperial Darkness. I was just doing like a subliminal shout out as you talked about how powerful the yeast were.
Oh, right. So I was a little bit worried, and I thought maybe I should have done a modified recipe that Chip did, and he had I think I talked about this, but Dawson modified the recipes a little bit and dialed back some of those ingredients because maybe he thought that they were too much. And I was thinking, oh man, now I'm going to have 5 gallons of this beer that I don't really like. But then I got the idea to try to add some lactose. And so I did half a pound of lactose, maybe like a pint of water, boiled it up, and put that in the keg, and racked the beer into there, and then at some point after it was pressurized, I was like inverting a little bit to get it all mixed. But I do have some of the beer without lactose. I actually ended up with like a little bit more than 5 gallons. So now, Chip, we've noticed a difference between these two beers. And one is not carbonated, but...
Even without the carbonation, I feel like that resiny fineness it's almost like over-present in this one, to the point where it's just like, ooh, like very sucking on some pine sap. I think you lose a lot of the roastiness. So it makes me wonder if the lactose kind of helps elevate, it being a sugar and kind of a thickener, almost like a richener.
Yeah.
Kind of bring those malts up. Because, this to me tastes just a little... I'm not going to say watery, because clearly there's tons of sugar and all that jazz in it, but it just comes across as a little flat, no pun intended, even beyond the lack of carbonation.
I think it's more of the point to me is that it's just not balanced. It's not. It's too bitter and dry. And I'm glad I didn't do a pound of lactose because I know I wasn't trying to make a milk Imperial Stout or have it be too present. And I actually feel like I was fortunate and it worked out that it makes a difference, but it's not that noticeable. I mean, I don't know that you would know that there's lactose in here if you weren't told. It's just it does make it a more drinkable beer, and you know I'm gonna be, yeah.
I don't know. The real version, the main version, has a good bit of body to it. So I think lactose helps support that for sure. Because this is a dumb question, and I should know the answer, but lactose doesn't ferment, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you put it into a milk stout, it will add gravity, but then not ferment. I mean, it will add gravity, right? I would imagine. It's like a sugar. But, yeah, it will not ferment from the brewer's yeast, as far as I understand. So you're just sweetening a beer. That's why your nursing stouts are so peculiar with the lactose in there, because I don't think
they drink very dry and very, not thin, but I would say light-bodied.
Yeah.
Of course, they're under 4% alcohol.
Yeah,
this is like
this is 8.5, so this is a pretty big beer. I think it's I mean, this recipe is going around, and you can access it, and you can make. You know, a lot of people do different tweaks. I know Chip and another friend of ours use Kvike yeast on it. You can do like cinnamon, oak, you know, other treatments. I mean, a lot of different.
One from was it Scott out east who sent that?
Yeah, he did coconut. He did a lot of coconut. Yep. But I mean, I'm happy with this, and I'll be drinking on it slowly. I only just take a little bit now and then because I mean, what are we, November 28th, and we got a lot of winter left in this.
You think you'll bottle at least a 6-pack of this just to like see what's up?
No, I mean, I would have probably had to do that at the packaging time, and it crossed my mind. I mean, I could have, would have, should have. I didn't. So now it's all carbonated. So now I don't know. I mean, I don't have a bottling wand. I'm not gonna, you know, you'd want it to be like naturally carbonated in a bottle if you were gonna do that. And I thought about it, and then I just.
Is there enough of this one to do that, or is this the last of it?
No, there's not much of it, and it doesn't have the lactose anyway.
I should have too. Like I mean, you remember I brewed mine in whatever that was, like mid-June, and it was gone by like 4th of July. Like. The Kvike fermented it so fast and left it so clean. Like it was not hot. It was not all the things that like a big beer could be a weekend. So I was drinking it like a week later.
Yeah.
It got better over the span of like say 2 or 3 weeks, but it didn't make it a full month because I shared so much of it more than anything. I'm not trying to sound like I just sat there and drank it, but it was also so enjoyable. It was so fun to share.
That's why I'm just gonna have this tap be sort of occupied by this beer for hopefully a few more months. I mean, it's only been a month and a half, and it's an 8.5% alcohol beer. I mean, it could be around for years, really. So if it's around till March or something, that's not a stretch. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm glad I did the lactose. Y'all can check out the recipe. I'll put a link to the main page from, I think it's Weathered Souls Brewing in Texas, I believe.
Put a link to my page with all of Dawson's versions.
I can do that as well. Link it up.
You know.
Check out the links, and yeah, I mean, what I just brewed today was my first matchmaker recipe, Sudkreutz Pils. It's a New Zealand Pils, so that one is hopefully going to be fermenting soon.
I have to ask, did you like the way I found something to put this glass at just the right level to be at the bottom of the frame to look great?
Perfect. Nailed it. What a pro. What a pro.
It's my old hamster bowl.
Your old what bowl? I don't know. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. More videos, more songs coming your way. Catch you later.